Well, a bit early for that. A little bit early. But when it gets time for that, so there's no surprise to me what's going on. And as we see the stories, we talked about it at 2025 Countdown. So go over there and check it out. We played a couple news clips. We'll just go ahead and go over it. But there's going to be the scaling back of jobs in America at some point. And we've already been on this path for a long time. I remember warning about this in 2009 when we were going through the SORMAX. So as we go into SORMAX, we see more prostitution and economic turbulence. And economic turbulence and sex trade go together. So we look at Sherry's. Right now we're at Denny's. We will look at Sherry's, the chain, all their... In fact, let's go ahead. We were going to start doing that on the other channel. Let's go ahead and do it here. So it's KATU. Got a woman, 73 years old, older than my mother. Working harder than my mother for sure. Doing real work. Okay. Suffering. And she's been cut loose. So we basically live in a countless world where anybody can end up homeless. Basically. And a lot of people are. And you take a look at Portland, Oregon, and you see that they are losing their livability. Sherry's waitress out of work after chain shutdown. So what is she supposed to? And see, she's 73. What if she was 14, 15, 16? Got trapped on cell phone?
April?
Because basically they've set it up not only for people to be easily abducted and easily found by scanning their face and using certain apps, as the Harvard students just recently showed. They make it really easy to be a hooker now. And if the stats aren't out now about women losing their husbands and becoming OnlyFans creators, well, it'll surely come out later. All right.
April 4th, about 1994.
And then you have a lot of people that are not smart when it comes to real estate. Some people
back
just,
then, everything,
some people
no
might even
computers,
lose out on their investment on real estate
everything was done
because
by
they don't understand housing bubbles.
And we had tests. And if you can learn the mission of Sherry's, the president of the company came out to Airport Way. We're the #1 store because it's a trade store. Everybody comes through us. And he said, can you repeat it, for $25? Hey, I memorized it. And he gave you $25. And there's a plaque when you walk into Sherry's on your right-hand side, and my name, and some of them have passed on, And there's names of us that have been there for years. Yeah.
Do you know what's happening to that plaque now?
My boss, I didn't like the way they did Deb. They said, you're finished. You're no longer, we want the key. And they wouldn't let her go back and get nothing. So I'm sure the plaque is still hanging on there. I'm sure it is. Nobody's gone in there.
What's been...
Now, in another story, we have a story about 84 people rescued from a human trafficking operation in Houston, Texas. And so already we have women that are turning to tricks that aren't even being hired at all. And there's plenty of women out there that can't get work. And there's a number of different reasons, but there's a lot of hidden racism in America that people don't want to admit. And so that's one of the reasons some people turn to tricks that are female. And for the men, being denied work, housing, in some cases citizenship, even that, can turn towards people to do unthinkable acts of crime. People are not really intelligent in this nation, in this world, to really understand causal factors, and that so much of what's happening is a part of a larger social engineering operation.
Been going on over the last few months. When did you start to notice that something might
Well, when they start not making pies, I said, "Oh, something's wrong," because that's what brings people, pie, Sherry's pie, And I noticed, and then I told you they wouldn't let my boss order food for a week and a half. I'm like, wow. And praise my boss and my GM, because she's known me for 30 years. They would go and figure out money and go not to cash and carry, but they would go other places and keep us going. And then about 3 Wednesdays ago, I'm a breakfast waitress. I had no bacon, no sausage, no eggs, no this. So in my mind, I said, I got to sell. I got to make money. I wouldn't be working at 73 if I didn't want to work. And I said, how about ham? How about maybe pancakes instead? So we made it through that day. And then the next day, we finally got Cisco. They stopped paying their bills. We never had no Cisco. Some of them got cut off from lights. Some had no gas. They didn't pay our garbage for 2 months. And I said, please, God, don't have the health department come out here. I won't say how it looked because I don't want people to know, but it was horrifying. I've never seen nothing like that in my life. I wouldn't go out there.
And as the owner of that store, as the person who opened that store, what was your,
He quit, or the last couple of weeks, he won't even have nothing. He won't even relate.
Anybody want to buy me dinner? I didn't think so.
None of
Hey, somebody did donate 140 on the super chat. I want to thank you, but it's going to take me a couple weeks to even set it up, my bank account. Okay, but maybe at some point I can make $100 a month. But yeah, wouldn't it be nice if I can have my own home and rescue a woman from the streets? Maybe not from the streets, but rescue a woman from this world so she doesn't end up in the streets, basically. What was I going to say? There was just a lot of stories we covered on the other channel about the trafficking, and in Denver, Colorado, there's a couple stories about abduction attempts, and then a couple other stories there. I'll look at the menu and maybe do the Grand Slam for $5.99. I don't have a Cash App, but I don't know if I was to add a Cash App, would you use it? I don't see what the deal is with PayPal. A lot of people are so allergic to it. I mean, it's not that complicated.
Managers,
but
none of the
I'll figure it
GMs,
out.
they text them, they ask them for you. And so this one, I got real scared. When I work Monday through Thursday. Our business is so bad, nobody works 5 days anymore. And so when Thursday come, Dev said, they won't answer me. They won't let me order any food. And I thought, wow, this, after 30 years,
another day or maybe later on, we'll look at the clip of the TikTok influencers that went dark that were telling women to go to Saudi Arabia. And I've been warning for years about that. Thank you for the likes. I've been warning for years about that, about the agenda to convince women to go, before off-world, out of the country, and maybe later on off-world. I've talked about that years ago, the Musk agenda. Before Musk was popular like he is now, before Musk went to bat for Trump. So now that Musk is officially behind the Trump campaign, every conspiracy theory that I had about Musk is legitimate. Now, I understand some people like Trump, but I am proudly independent and proudly predicted that he would be part of the system, but people are still convinced that he's renegade, even if he supported the vaccine and other things. So just because Kamala and Biden are part of the establishment and they fabricate things, just because they're a bad source of information does not mean that he doesn't have a bad history. And he likely is planning something in 2025 if he comes back in power. That's been my concern since day one, that something's coming and that he's going to inherit a World War III scenario. I wrote a blog about it. We're going to be looking at later. Let's get back to this. Women are going to be suffering the most from the economic collapse that's coming, from a degenerate society in which men don't care about women and women don't care about women. That's obvious, because if they did, they would be cheering me on. And I would say the biggest drop in interest from women to me has been the past decade, but since coming back from the internet, there was a major drop around the time of the total solar eclipse. And there was far more people interested when I was being silent, saying nothing. Oh, where is he? What's going on? A couple emails here and there. And once I started getting more masculine and telling more things like it is and being even more personal and admitting personal sins and showing a lot more concern about women, but I always did, now they're all gone. Every old girlfriend, every old female viewer, right? And none of them, sometimes they'll show up in the comments. Very few will show up in an email privately to talk about what they're going through as women. And then if they do talk about, like one that I knew in Portland, one skank being raped, she talked about being raped by a Mason. First of all, I'm thinking about, well, why were you dating a Mason, number one? And then why would you tell me that if you didn't want me to do something about it? Were you trying to make me jealous? You should want men to stand up for you if you're a woman and you've been abused and raped. I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to women. The biggest failure of women, of my mother, of this generation, is the failure to hold their abusers accountable that are the actual ones that did the wrongdoing, not their son. And so that's the biggest DNA upgrade the next generation has to have, is to hold actual men that did the wrongdoing accountable, not the boys that are born to the women. You want to address the actual wrongdoers, not the offspring.
To know about a restaurant. So we went Saturday, and my GM retired. She was the only one that saw the writing. She already had her training. She's with Buffalo. She's a GM. And we had a big party, and Deb said, Dee Dee, we ran out of eggs by 9 o'clock. This was Saturday, a couple of days ago. We ran out of bacon. It doesn't look good. And I said, well, Deb, should I come Monday? She said, I'm going to tell you what. They told me, they finally got a hold of me. They told me I can't order
By the way,
food, and I have to close.
She is a waitress in the Portland, Oregon area. So for those of you that are Oregon folks, here's an Oregon woman who's about to hit the skids. Maybe she'll be in an RV soon. And then we can look at other videos on the war on homelessness that's now expanding in Portland, Oregon, where you can't even park now. The situation got so bad that they have these big old barriers on Clinton Street. Clinton Street, same place where Bill Pleck opened up a new gym before he died of a brain aneurysm. Clinton Street, same place where my dad lived, where I have a lot of childhood memories.
This is a 24-hour restaurant. Saturday, they had her close at 7. Sunday, they let them open, not 24 hours. At 11, they called, everybody that worked.
Yeah, I'm a member of 24-Hour Fitness, but it's not 24 hours. So here we have corporations that are dominant that aren't even true to their names.
I'm off on the weekend.
And it's an incredibly dirty, woke gym.
Closed at 7 o'clock with no food. And that's when she called me. She said, Dee Dee, you're out of a job. All the years I worked, almost 59 years, I've never seen so.
When I say woke, also very compatible with psychopathic neo-Nazi right wing. So not like left-leaning woke, like, woke as fuck on the branding of their pre-workout with like a horny little, blonde chick on the cover. Woke as fuck. I wonder what she likes. And then you have right-wing douchebags with their come and take an American flag freedom shirt, looking at me with their eyes bugged out as I pump iron.
Unprofessional for.
But then again, you already saw our Gem Demon episode from this morning.
Corporation, they could have really said, hey, even a week, because thank God I own my.
And the Gem Demon reality is strong with these booty short girls.
I work with girls that are just bought cars. You know, they have young kids. They need their money, you know.
Were you working because you have to, or were you working because you want to?
You know, that's the thing. I'm not on Social Security. My husband works, and then he had two
Debbie Gibson.
major operations. So I begged him. He finally got on Social Security, but he does have a little 2-day job. They haven't called him back, but they did hire. We don't know. So I just didn't want to go on Social Security. So I worked for 2 reasons. I worked because I love it. I've been working since I've been 14, and I worked, so I needed it. And I not as bad as most people, but I help grandkids. And some of my kids don't have jobs.
And she's 73.
I buy school clothes for them, and I help them, you know. So it's kind of like yes and no.
Are you
know
going to
what I mean?
look for another job?
Yes, I am. I definitely am.
You might
My
want to get on that smoke detector there.
daughter, I don't know how to go online. I got all my kids that live here, not the ones in California and Arizona, lined up. So when I called, I was crying. I definitely cried, makeup running all over. And my husband said, "You'll get over it." My kids lived here. Well, Mom, do you want me to come by? Blah, blah, blah. I finally went by. I have a daughter that runs the dentist's office, and she said, "Mom, let's go on the computer." And she asked me information, and she applied. I didn't even know. She applied and
Have you noticed that some of these new like detectors will start going off at 5:30 in the morning or like 4 o'clock in the morning at like the craziest times? Have you noticed that stuff?
Buffalo, and guess where it's at? It's at Cascade. So it's like, what, 10 blocks from my old job. And so yesterday we all met, some of us, my GM, Deb, they paid for everything. We stayed like 4 hours at Elmer's on Sandy Boulevard. And that was one of the jobs she told the cooks and stuff that came about. So I guess I applied, or my daughter said you submitted. And then they went to do, what do you call it, unemployment for me. And they wanted to do it through the Corona. Well, none of my kids can remember the emails. I don't have an email. Everything has got to go to my kids. And so now I guess the new law is you got to get a code. So my cook that I've had for 25 years, Lena, my boss helped her, and we're waiting on codes. They say it can be a week. Once you get the code, you can file. But yeah, I guess my daughter applied, and I thought I'd wait this week, and then when I come back, I'm going to apply at Winko's. I went to get a money order on 122nd, and they said, "Why you look so sad?" I said, "Well, you know, I've never been out of a job, and I'm out 30 years. I didn't know." And so they said, "Well, we need," I said, "Can I do a cashier? Because you got to deal with so much." And they said, "Come back." So they told me their store number. So I thought I'd apply there. And then, like I told you, my daughter did Buffalo and one more place, Fred Meyer, so I could walk. So yeah, I will apply for unemployment, but if a job comes up, I'm job.
Not ready to retire.
Heck no. I got 2 new knees, 7 weeks, and this is 2.5 weeks. I run around all those young people because if you don't get the door, you don't make money. So you got to move. You got to move.
What are you going to miss the most about this? Why?
Oh my God, my customers. Oh my God. Over the years, I'll never forget, I had a flat tire, and I was about 5 years ago, and one of my regulars was sitting right by the kitchen, and we're behind. I was telling my co-worker at the time, I said, "Oh my God, I hope I can make it, blah, blah, blah." And it was Christmas, 2 days before Christmas, and she gave me $100 bill. She said, "Didi, you've been my waitress for 10 years. Buy yourself a tire." You know, I've gotten $100 tips. I've got 50. I've gotten stiff, but I don't get mad because everything's so expensive nowadays in restaurants. I think that they want to go out and they don't realize they have no tip. But that's all right, because the next person might give me $20 to make up. I've had presents. Last week, one of my customers that works at Walmart in Washington, she brings me this real expensive candy. My husband eats it all. I never get a piece of it, but things like that. I've had customers, oh God, buy me presents. I have a customer for 20 years. They're Hawaiian. They come in and see their grandchildren. Once a year, they ask for me every Christmas, and they bring me a present. Last year, they brought me macadamia nuts. One time, they made me a lei $10 all at once. I just spent that the last couple of months. You know, that I'm gonna miss my customers. My God, I've watched them grow, die, you know, get married. I'm gonna miss my coworkers. I've had coworkers, Deb, my GM, they talk to, she's been not the GM, my boss, 20 years. Michelle, I worked 20 years with her. I worked with another one, 20 years. And then my cook, 25 years. Steve, 30 years. We have a bond. We've been together for years. I'll never have that again. Unless a new restaurant and we all flock together, you know. But we said we're going to meet once a month. Now, I don't know how long this will happen. My GM said, it's
I'll
all
be
on
back.
you,